after the weekend, and you got like 4 games left. What is your message to your group in terms of finishing out these last 4 games?
Yeah, control what we can control. Win. Stay in the moment. And can't control what anybody else does, but you can control the way you process and prep. And you can't win unless you win on Wednesday, in the meetings and then leading to practice. And that's the only way I know how to do it.
Will you peek tonight at the game and see what Philly's doing and try to figure out where you stand?
No, I'll look at the scoreboard when it's over, and I'm sure somebody's going to say, hey, it's whatever. But no, I got plenty to do with that Vikings defense.
One last thing. Health updates on Diggs, Clowney, and Guyton. Do you anticipate them possibly practicing this week?
Yeah, we'll see. I think Diggs should be good to go with practice, and then we'll find out a little bit more over the next 2 days, 48 hours with Guyton and Clowney.
And Brian Schottenheimer with ESPN, you forgot one guy, CeeDee. How's he doing?
Yeah.
I know you've not gotten on the field yet, but how's he doing?
Yeah, he's doing good. Talked to him over the weekend. He's doing good. He's progressing nicely, and again, hopefully things all work out like we expect.
And then Flournoy's improvement, I don't know, or his increased production, what would you put that on for him here in his second year? Where has he improved most?
Probably the route running. Here's a guy that's always had the size and the speed, but Toddy's worked really, really hard on the fundamentals of top of the route transition. He's always been very strong at the catch point, but also learning the system. But the biggest thing for me is he's a young player that just if you watch him pre-practice, post-practice, working on how to create separation at the top of the route, speed turns, tight turns, bursting turns, all those different things. I think that's where you're seeing him create more and more separation, and it's through hard work. It really is. He's a professional. He's very mature for his age, young player, and just really proud of him.
John Machado with The Athletic, you mentioned after the game you thought Dak took too many shots. How's he doing, and how do you guys kind of fix that?
Yeah, he's doing good. It's something that we've done actually really well for the most part all year, John. And this team that's coming in here is going to create a bunch of problems for us in that regard because they're really good at that. But again, pass protection involves everybody. It involves receivers getting open, and the line obviously has to do their job, and the backs have to do their job, and Dak's got to get the ball out when he can. But talked to him over the weekend as well, and everybody's in a good spot. They're motivated to get back on the field and play. We know we let one slip away, and that's okay. But we'll get back on the horse, and here we go.
And then with I think it's 10-year games, you guys have started out trailing. Is there anything you've been able to see from looking back on that of what can possibly change to maybe you guys get off some faster starts?
Yeah, again, we've looked at some different things. There's a few things with the openers that we've talked about, and we're big into deferring. Why? Well, we like that to get the ball in the second half. That extra possession in the second half I think has been good to us at times. But it really comes back to the fact just the execution, has not been at the level that we need it to be, and we can score in a hurry, and we've played well, but there's not one thing that we're like, man, if we do this, we'll start faster.
Nick Harris, 4-star Telegram, along the same lines of Dak taking too many shots. The tackles allowed double-digit pressures in that game against the Lions. What was your evaluation of those two guys and how they can improve moving forward?
Yeah, again, I thought, Nate struggled. I think he'll be the first one to tell you that. Young player, second start. Again, very talented. I think where Nate needs to grow is understand he plays a very difficult position to play, and you're going to get beat at times, and you got to bounce back. But for him, it was more of the aggressive sets. What do I mean by that? I talked about in our conference call, I think, the other day, but like his initial set was really good, and then as there was space, he would begin to kind of turn his shoulders, which softens the edge and makes it easier for the defensive end to affect the quarterback, whereas Nate's a 330-pound man, with incredible athleticism and size, and he needs to stay square longer. And so that's something that we'll keep working with him on. And I think Terrence has played really well all year long. And, again, we got into a situation in the noise where these guys were generating a lot of pressure and coming off the edges. And, again, it's a tough position to be in. And but I thought, Terrence has played really well for most of the season. And like I said, I really do feel like it's one of the best things we've done all year is protect Dak, and we didn't do it very well the other night, and we need to do it better this week against the Vikings.
I'm sure you got some extra time to watch the Vikings yesterday. Justin Jefferson in their last 2 games just has 4 receptions for 15 yards. When you see that or hear that, do you anticipate more balls going his way on Sunday, or how do you kind of juggle the statistics with what you've seen on film?
Yeah, I don't get too caught up in the statistics. I think it's probably a really good idea for them to throw him the ball.
Tommy.
Tommy Irish, DallasCowboys.com. You were saying after the game last week that you kind of, now that you had some time after 4 games and 17 days, take some time to self-scout. What did you look at in self-scout? Was there anything that kind of jumped off at you while you were looking back at some of the things from these last 4 games?
Yeah, I would say, again, the 2 main things was the ball. You know, our inability to get the ball, take it away, and then how loose we've carried it. You know, I think that's something that we have to clean up. You know, I mean, I think that's the biggest reason why, you know, we sit here right now is we're -8 in turnovers and the giveaway takeaway ratio, and there's definitely some fundamental things that we can clean up and need to tighten up. I think that's one. And then there were some things in the red zone on both sides of the ball that we need to probably do a little bit more of. And when we do that, I think that should hopefully get us the results that we want.
And the kickoff coverage unit has given up the 4th most yards this year on kickoff returns. What have your conversations with Nick been like about trying to get that number down and give your defense some better field position?
Yeah, we need to do that, number one. The kickoff coverage leverage has not been very good. You know, we've lost contain, and, you know, the way it's all set up now is, again, if my left arm's free, I got to keep my left arm free. And guys are trying to make plays, and, again, the way you cover kicks well is to have everybody do their job, stay in their lane, keep their contain, play with the right arm free. And we haven't done that. Again, we'll be looking at maybe some personnel adjustments as well.
Scott.
Skyler, it's with the AP. You said Friday you would talk to George about the social media thing. Have you had a chance to do that?
I did. Had a good conversation with George over the weekend, along with a number of players.
Do you think it's fair to say that he lives his football life under a bit of a microscope, considering the circumstances of the trade?
I think George just loves football. You know, every time I'm around him, I know he just loves football. He loves playing the football, and it's a place like most of these guys where they get to just be their true selves. And you know, I know he's great in practice and he's great in the games because he loves it.
Counsel for him on that front? I mean, maybe you don't see it that way, but do you ever talk to him about, you know, people are going to look at you a little bit differently than maybe they might others, or not?
You know, I talk to George about a lot of things. Again, I'll keep that between George and I, but again, I just, you know, I love watching the guy play football. I'll just kind of leave it at that, Skyler. I think the guy has more fun playing football than most people. And I think when you do that, I think that's usually a recipe when you're as talented as he is, that that's why you can impact games the way that he does.
Joe.
Joe Hoyt, Dallas Morning News. You talked about Brian Flournoy's improvement. You guys waived him at the beginning of the year. Was there a little bit of anxiety when you put him through waivers, and how did you respond to that, and what have you seen from him?
Yes, there was a lot of anxiety because we certainly, you know, we drafted him. We wanted him back. We were hoping that he would come back. He wanted to be back, which was good. And I think I remember him just, you know, taking it, you know, as motivating, you know, and, you know, I really appreciate the young man's maturity. I appreciate the way his faith is very strong. You know, I know going through everything with Marshawn, he's been one of the more outspoken, you know, guys about his faith and how he draws from that. But I was not surprised when he burst onto the scene against the Jets with his big game. And then I was not surprised by the way he performed last week in Detroit.
You talked before about your 4th down decisions being more of a gut kind of feel. How do you self-scout kind of what a gut feeling is like, or how do you kind of reevaluate how you decide 4th down decisions?
I mean, I'm always going to go with my gut. I'm going to listen, you know, to, you know, feeder and the things we're talking about and have a sense of the game, but I'm always going to go with my gut. And the reason why you do that is because you're the guy that's got to look at yourself in the mirror, whether it works or it doesn't. You know, you're going to look at yourself in the mirror. People are going to like it. People are going to criticize if it doesn't work. They're going to think you're a genius if it does work. And but at the end of the day, when I'm brushing my teeth, going to bed at night, or waking up in the morning, you know, I need to make sure that I'm doing my part to give us the best chance to win.
Garrett.
Garrett Podell, CBS Sports. Brian, you played the quarterback position all the plays. What are your thoughts on J.J. McCarthy's season? He's been kind of up and down, but probably at his best game yesterday.
Yeah, played great. A little bit I saw of the game, just flipping through the different games and things like that. I thought he played great. Looked very comfortable. Very talented young man. And again, I won't speak too much into it, but again, I've heard amazing things about him as a leader and what he brings to that locker room. And I coached Kevin O'Connell in New York. He was one of our backup quarterbacks. Love Kevin. I think he's an incredible coach, and he is an expert in developing quarterbacks. I'll say that, talking about Kevin, and I think that the future looks very bright for JJ.
Christy Scales, Cowboys Radio, 105.3 The Fan. You were talking about pass protection earlier. Brian Flores, the Vikings DC, is he one of the tops in bringing extra rushers, and what kind of stress and challenges does he put on you?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, Christy, he brings a lot of different unscouted looks, a lot of cover zeros, a lot of different looks that you have to be ready for. And again, it's one of those situations where you have to trust your rules. And we have answers and things that should account for some of those free runners and things like that. But the chess match is real, as people say, and I think Brian's one of the best in the business.
Cal.
I think the biggest criticism of George from that game was the effort from the outside looking in. How much did you guys get to immediate minds about the effort?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it. And again, he just, in his words, he goes, "Hey, Shotty, I didn't play my best game." And, I think that, unfortunately, none of us, played our best game. And so that's real. But, again, I don't worry about George and his love for football and playing this game. And, again, for 5 or 6 weeks, he was the talk of the sporting world. Look at George Pickens. And, again, we didn't coach or play well enough to win that game in Detroit. They beat us. Is what it is. We've had a couple days to, reset, refocus, and now we're on to Minnesota.
One more. Is Rocco, how have you seen him grow from when you first got him week 1 to where we are right now?
Again, I'll talk about the leadership and using his voice and all that. I think just the passion for the way he plays the game is real. But like I said the other day, I think the biggest thing for me, I've always known he's had a great first step, the ability to affect quarterbacks. But the way he plays the run is unique for a rookie that came out of BC as a known pass rusher. But the physicality that he plays with in the run game and really on all D&Ds is very unique, in my opinion, and that's why I think he's going to be a star in this league.
You hear coaches talk a lot when a quarterback throws a pick or has a bad game, whatever. You learn more about the guy after that. Can the same be said about corners, and what do you expect from a guy like Revel who's going through it for the first time?
Yeah. Again, I think you can, and I think that's all part of the process is having conversations with those guys. And Von is a very confident guy, but he's playing a very tough position to play. And again, he's like I'd put him in the same category with me. I didn't have my best night; he didn't have his best night, and but we woke up the next day and we were both motivated to get better. And he's going to do that. And again, when you've got a rookie corner that's playing at the level that he's played with the confidence, I don't worry about him. I mean, it's a guy that all he wants to do is get up and play press man to man, and you don't lack confidence if you do that. There's most guys who are like, okay, I'm gonna back up a little bit, like, ooh, let me give myself a little bit more cushion. He's more like, hey, let me get closer to this guy because I want to put hands on him. But I don't worry about him, and he's one of those guys that, again, I think is just every week, man, he's getting better, and he's learning, he's growing, and I think that's great for our football team.
Nick.
What do you remember about your time with Kevin O'Connell in New York, and did you see then that he could be a head coach one day?
I did. I remember it a lot. I remember him coming out of San Diego State. I remember him going to New England. I remember bringing him over as a free agent. But I really remember him. We were in a division against the Patriots, and we would go back and forth. But Kevin had been in New England with Tom and knew a lot of Tom's answers and blitzes, and he would get with Rex and the defensive staff every time we'd play the Patriots, and basically he'd become a defensive coach that week. And so he'd give a great look on scout team, but he'd help them come up with blitzes and how to attack things. And if you've ever been around the guy, he's very personable, very football intelligent, and just he's a leader of men. And so I was not surprised when he became a head coach. I was not surprised to see his success, because every time I've been around the guy, I've just been impressed by him as a man, husband, a father, all those things. And again, he really helped us, beat a really good team a number of times when we were facing off against the Patriots.
Have you spoken with him since you got the job?
Yeah, saw him a couple different times.
What is today? I know it's a bonus day, but what do you guys do today?
We're rehashing, going through the game, resetting, and then we're going to do some hospital visits. So a chance for us to give back to the community a little bit, and it's a great day to show our gratitude just for how blessed we are. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.